Hello, everyone. It's great to have you with us for College Week, and I'm pleased to introduce my colleague, Libby Pinti from St. John Fisher. She has worked at the university since 2005 and started her career in the Alumni and Advancement Office and then moved over to admissions wisely to have much more fun on this side of the desk. But we're also, to me, the reason Libby is a perfect person to do this is she knows McQuay Jesuit well. She's the one who reads our applications at St. John Fisher. So she's seen our students for quite a while. In addition, I think one of the other reasons why she's an ideal candidate to present this information is she has managed the college admissions process with her own children, which is not a small feat. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you Libby Pinti.
Thank you so much, John. I'll just share my screen so we can get the presentation started. And there we go. Okay. 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 So building your college list. This topic was presented to me to present last year. So I did have the opportunity to present last year and obviously have refined some of the presentation. So hopefully I can bring you some information that's going to be helpful for you and your student. Again, my name is Libby Pinti. I'm an Associate Director of First Year Admissions here at St. John Fisher. I am a parent. I'm also an alum of the university. And I've been actually in the admissions world probably about 10 or 12 years. So really worked with students from the application piece of college visits, and then also spoken with parents at various high schools and shared a little bit about the process. So hopefully from the admissions hat, as well as the parent hat, I'm able to bring you some different perspectives to help you with your student. So in terms of building your college list, the reality is that there are several lists to build. And what I want to do in today's presentation is really break it down because it's not just about building the list of places that the student would apply. It's about building the list of where you would visit and which ones would you apply to? Which ones would you perhaps visit a second time? Or which ones would you perhaps visit for an interview or an audition if you're in the performing arts arena? So we're just going to talk a little bit about, where to even start. It can be an overwhelming process. This presentation will break down several key factors, and we'll just take steps to really make the process a little bit more manageable. So just where to start and when to start. You can really start as early as sophomore year. I mean, obviously, we've had some first year students, our first year high school students on our campus looking at the university. That is a great place to start, especially if you're a younger sibling, sort of tagging along with your older brother or sister. But really, sophomore year for your own search really is a great place to start. That way you can start very broadly. You can start to narrow things down as time goes on in high school. High school does get very busy, so you want to make sure that if you're in a fall sport, you're not waiting until junior, senior year to start visiting college campuses. So that's why we really recommend starting in the sophomore year. We do recommend just starting with a broad slate and just really brainstorming, talking to colleagues within your high school, friends and family members, and even older siblings or older friends who have gone away to college. Start out by really looking at what's going to be important to you in your college search or when you go to college. What do you really hope to have, or at least in your sophomore year, what are you thinking that you really might like to have, in your college experience? Are you looking for athletics? Are you looking for a faith-based institution? Are you looking for location? Do you want to go away out of state? Do you want to stay within the area? There's certainly several options within the Rochester area. Are you looking for more urban or suburban? Sometimes students really want a downtown campus. Others want a college campus that's in a little bit of a quieter area, but is close to a downtown setting. And some people really want to sort of be in an environment that's a little bit more rural, sort of out of the way of a lot of hubbub. There are several websites that are great resources for building that college list and sort of establishing your wish list. The College Board is a wonderful resource, and I have implemented the link here just in terms of where to get started and what types of things should you be thinking about. We also have included an article about how to make a college list that came from U.S. News and World Report. This is just a really in-depth article about where to even start with your lists. Like I said, there will be several lists along the way, but really identifying what you're looking for in a college or university is going to be the initial list. You might obviously want to talk with your school counselor about career exploration options. Again, there are career quizzes and sort of self-awareness quizzes in terms of identifying strengths and weaknesses and really looking at what a major might look like. Because certainly there are things that you might want in a college or university, but they should have your major or at least a couple of majors that you're thinking about. So we do, as a, sort of a sub category of exploring colleges in terms of visits, just looking to see what are their programs and what kinds of clubs or organizations do they have outside of academics. We always suggest that students be open-minded. We really don't want students to rule out colleges because they might look competitive or feel like they're going to be more expensive. It's oftentimes that the more expensive institution will have a greater number of financial aid resources. If they're an older institution, their endowment might be, quite significant that they can offer additional financial aid options or scholarships. You may have heard the term safety school, implementing a school that might be a little bit easier to get into or that you feel like you would be admitted if you applied or that is very affordable. Safety school doesn't mean that it's a negative connotation. There are reach schools, but a safety school certainly is something to have on your list as well. And just think about the successes and things that you loved about high school. What led to those factors and what didn't you like? And what are things that you perhaps would like to avoid in college? And I'm thinking of things like the size of the high school. Do you come from a very small high school? Obviously, McQuaid's not too small, but are you looking for a bigger graduation class or more options, or do you like the size of your high school and that you might want to stick with a smaller to mid-sized college? So those are things that you really can sort of just brainstorm with your family, your friends, and come up with that list, that wish list of things that you might be looking for. So when to visit? In terms of campus visits, again, it's really a blank slate. You're going to certainly take your wish list and start to maybe do some college searches, whether it's be on College Board or Naviance certainly has options for college searches. So there's a variety of different college search sites out there. We do recommend that, be careful because you don't want to be you don't need to pay for college searches. So there are websites and so on that are out there that will try to charge a fee, and it's not necessary through your school counseling office. Like I said, College Board and some of these other websites that are free to you. Those are the ones that you really can start with. But you want to take your wish list and start to search for those variables that you've identified as a priority for your college experience. There are a variety of different types of visits that colleges and universities will offer. So some students will just drive through campus and just get a feel for the campus environment. That is a nice way if you happen to be driving through town or just in the area of the university, just to get a feel for the campus itself. But certainly you're not going to be able to get inside buildings. You're not going to be able to talk with students necessarily. You're not going to be able to see inside of a science lab or the nursing school or what have you. So we really recommend a guided tour. A guided campus tour can really shed a lot of light on some of the details that you might be thinking about. An information session often precedes a campus tour, and an information session will be typically a presentation from the admissions office that will talk about some of the programming opportunities, the academic programs, clubs, and athletics. They will also get into housing and the dining services area if you're you're planning to live on campus. They'll also talk about their admissions qualifications. What are they looking for, and what are they on a rolling admissions, or do they have deadlines to be thinking about? They also talk about scholarship information. So it's definitely a more in-depth dive into the application process and the admissions process and the college environment itself. Open house programs are wonderful because oftentimes faculty will be at those programs. Other students from the college environment will be there. Coaches will be there. So you really have an opportunity to speak with representatives from all of the different departments. Open houses tend to be a little bit longer in length, but are often offered on the weekends, which usually is better for family schedules. So those are great things to be looking for too. Many schools even from D1, 2, 3, the different divisions will offer athletic recruitment days. Those are typically invitations from coaches for students to come for an athletic recruitment day, which means really partnering with a current athlete at the university and having a day in class, eating in the dining hall, being in the athletic facilities. Oftentimes it could include an overnight, whether it's with a student athlete or, just being in a hotel with your family in the area. So if you are looking for athletics, the athletic recruitment days are a great deep dive, especially if you're looking at colleges, further away that you might not be visiting a second or third time. That'll give you a whole gamut of information about that university and their athletic program. And then in interviews, some colleges don't necessarily offer interviews just based on their scheduling. But if you do have an opportunity to interview while you're on the campus visit, we do think that that's not a bad way for you to learn a little bit more just in a one-on-one situation. Oftentimes, if a student has some information that they would like to explain to the admissions committee about their transcript or about their high school experience, they can do that through an interview. But I often say, don't let the interview intimidate you, because oftentimes, you have the opportunity to interview the school as well. Obviously it's a big investment, investment in time and money when you are going away to a 4-year university for undergraduate degrees. So you want to make sure it's a good fit for you, and you want to interview the school itself. So we really recommend as well, just to be, when you're on these campus visits, bring a notebook, bring your phone, however it is that you like to take notes and keep details of what you're looking at, what you are enjoying on the campus visit, what you prefer, not to maybe have as a part of your college experience. Take pictures. We really recommend that your notes and just your reflections of that visit be done soon after the visit, maybe even in the car on the way home, just because depending on the number of visits you do, they do tend to really blur. I mean, you'll start to think back of different college campuses and which one had the great dining hall or which one had the track that you might take advantage of. So just definitely take notes and pictures and jot down your reflections soon after the visit so you can remember, from one place to the next when it comes time to the application. The best thing about college visits when they are during the academic year is that's when students will be available. Summer visits are often a great way to see the universities and colleges as well, but they're a little bit quieter. You don't really have a good feel for what it's going to be like during the academic year. And if there are students on campus that you can talk to, even outside of your tour guide, just to ask questions of and find out what they like about the university and why did they choose to go there. Another great resource will be to, look at either online publications of the university. So lots of colleges and universities will have a newspaper or a magazine. Some of these are still in print. A lot of them are online. So you get some articles and editorials from the students. So you have a little bit of an inside look at that university. And those are recommendations as well. Certainly you want to make sure that they have the academic programs that you're considering. What's their campus life like? What do their classrooms look like? Are they big lecture halls? Are they similar to high school? Do you have that individualized attention from your professors? How do you get off campus? Visit the towns around the university. Some colleges, many SUNY schools actually, they make up the town. They really are in the center of town, and a lot of the shops and restaurants really cater to those students. And then other, like I said, universities will be in a a downtown area in an urban setting where you everything's right around you. It's very walkable. And just find out if there's public transportation for universities that might not be very accessible to shops or plazas or even the grocery store if you need to, get off campus. But so you definitely want to visit the college campus, but definitely look at the area around the campus as well and just find, is this going to be, could this be your home away from home? So again, after the college visit, you really want to write down all of the things that gleaned from that visit, all of the things that were impressive to you, maybe things that weren't so impressive. What were you hoping to see that you didn't see? But just writing down all of those impressions as soon as the visit is over. We recommend following up with an admissions counselor. I've had students reach out to me via email. This is also important if you are visiting a college or university that doesn't have an opportunity to actually meet with an admissions counselor, or maybe you haven't had the opportunity to introduce yourself to somebody from the admissions committee. So just to say, I just visited your campus, and how you felt about it, and if you intend to apply, they typically will keep your name and just, sort of keep an eye out for your application when the time comes. I had a student email me just after our November open house to say, that she was at open house. She saw me from afar, but wasn't able to connect, and how much she enjoyed the open house. And she had just applied. And I looked up her application, and sure enough, I, certainly am able to process her application, knowing that she's visited. One thing that's going to be something that you'll hear throughout the application process is demonstrated interest, especially for universities and colleges that are sort of farther away. The university will want to know, how do you know about our college or university? Why is it that you want to attend, and what inspired you to apply? So that's considered demonstrated interest, and that is important to colleges and universities. So making those connections with your admissions counselors and showing that you're interested. So if you are offered admission to that university, you would be likely to attend, or that you would be likely to certainly consider it for your higher education. The flip side of that is, did the school follow up with you? Did they send you a postcard, or did they follow up with an email? How interested are they in you as an applicant? So that's something that many schools do follow up, and sometimes they're a little bit more personalized and sometimes they're not. But that should be something to consider as you're, narrowing down that larger list of schools that you're maybe considering, completing an application to. So then once you really have the opportunity to take your wish list and all the different colleges that you thought you might like to visit. Now, certainly there's not an opportunity always to visit every single college that is on your wish list. And we always recommend virtual visits. A lot of universities will have virtual tours on their websites, and that's a really great way to help narrow down colleges or universities that from that initial list. But at the same time, if you do have the opportunity to actually get on campus and have those visits, maybe you start to narrow your list down. Perhaps you started with 20 or 30 schools, and as you're visiting or looking at their websites or doing virtual tours, you want to try and pare down that list. 30 schools is an awful lot to think about applications to. I think the most through the Common Application is about 20 schools, but the recommendation for most people is 8 to 10. Just really that you don't want to have it too broad, because it can even be more overwhelming than in your senior year as you're applying and receiving decisions and receiving financial aid packages, but just really refining your list. And taking all of those visit opportunities throughout your sophomore and junior year and really paring down, like where is it that I would apply? If I was offered admission, would I go to this institution? And those are questions that you might not know in your sophomore or junior year, but if you can sort of narrow it down, that's certainly something that would help you in the process and not feel as overwhelming when the time comes for the application. So as visits proceed in sophomore and junior year, and even sometimes into senior year, especially if it's in the summertime, if you're on, athletic trips, if you're traveling for family vacation, those are great ways to see college campuses over the summertime. But really, once you've started to pare down your wish list, you still have that initial list of things that you are hoping to gain from your college experience or things that you would like to have on that college campus. You don't want to necessarily get away from those priorities, but you can get away from the colleges where it just didn't feel like a great fit, or perhaps the students didn't feel like people that you might have things in common with, or they didn't have your athletic program, or perhaps the facilities weren't, kept up to date or, up to standards with what you were expecting. So now you're going to have the list of 8 to 10 schools where you think you'd like to apply. Most schools are going to be on the Common Application. They're going to be members of the Common Application, which is a universal application that most universities and colleges around the country will be a member of. Other schools may have their own, specific application, an application that's specific to their university. But I would be surprised if the majority of the colleges that you're thinking about would not be on the Common Application. You want to certainly this is where you really want to stay organized, because if you have visited numerous schools, you're going to receive numerous emails and direct mail materials where you really want to start to stay organized. I always recommend getting rid of the colleges and materials that you're absolutely ruling out. You don't need to collect that material and just add it to the number of other publications that you'll be getting. But you really want to start to narrow things down and really stay organized using spreadsheets and websites. There is another website here. I've got the link included, collegevine.com, and on how to organize your college search. They really do recommend, whether it be a notebook or an Excel spreadsheet or Google Sheets, but just having columns of things that are going to be important to you. The academic programs, again, the outside activities, extracurricular activities, cost, scholarship opportunities, keep track of websites, and not necessarily the college website, but even web pages within that college website. There's a lot of material on college websites that really is at your fingertips if you dive into those web pages that they've really tried to keep up to date with information. One great organization tool that's been recommended is just keeping an email specifically for colleges. Certainly Google and Yahoo emails are great. We don't recommend a school email for the applications because oftentimes those schools will have pretty restrictive spam filters. So colleges may reach out to you for additional information or to, prepare you for a scholarship opportunity. But if it's getting caught in a spam filter, obviously it's less likely that you're going to receive that email. So we really recommend some type of a personal email and maybe creating one that's specific for your college applications and college materials. So that way when it's not going to get lost in your larger personal email box. As I would recommend starting in the summer prior to senior year to take the 8 or 10 institutions that you're thinking about applying to and really just going into their websites to find out what are their application requirements. Whether it's, we certainly say that many colleges and universities aren't going to say we require a 92 GPA. There are so many things that go into a college application that it's, a lot of variables will be important. So, but find out what are they looking for? Are they looking for an activities resume? Are they looking for service work? An outline of all of the service work that you've done. If it's in athletics, are they looking for video or clips of your participation in your athletic sport? Are they looking for auditions? So these are things that you really want to collect before you apply. For students who are interested in the performing arts, it's not uncommon to send some type of a recording or, again, a live audition. I know that there are professional majors such as pharmacy or physician assistant where they will require an interview. So, making sure that you've got time scheduled for that or finding out what is it that you need to do to be invited for an interview. So there's a whole host of things that you can be doing in the summer, including starting your college essay, because the Common Application is one that opens up in August, and it will provide you with some essay prompts. And so you can be looking at those prompts and really thinking about what are you going to write your college essay about. And so those are things that you can really be starting in the summertime before you get back to school and start to work with your counselor to submit those applications. Being aware of application deadlines, many institutions will have early decision deadlines, early action deadlines, regular admission deadlines. Many colleges and institutions will they often send out decisions all at the same time, typically in the spring, but students might want to know ahead of springtime to know whether or not they've been admitted to the university or college. And in that case, students will apply early action. So there are early action deadlines to be thinking about. But just being aware of the application deadlines. And again, that's something that you want to add to your spreadsheet. The college that you're applying to, and what is their application deadline? What are they requiring to complete an application? Here at Fisher, we have 5 different components that complete an application, which include the essay, the transcript, the letter of recommendation, and SAT or ACT scores if the student is choosing to send those in. We are still test optional. That's another component of the application that you want to sort of investigate. A lot of schools are getting away from test optional and are starting to require those standardized test scores. So that might be even something that you're looking at in junior year so that you can be sure that you're taking those SATs or ACTs. And then just monitoring admissions portals. The nice thing about technology and applying for colleges in this day and age is the admissions portal will help you to stay organized. Your institution will send you logon information for your personalized portal, and you can check that portal to see if anything's missing. Oftentimes, the student will work through their school counseling office or Naviance or SCORE, some of those platforms. And so they don't necessarily know what's been received and when it was received. But it's very important to stay on top of that so that you can know if your application is complete. Again, so that you're not missing those application deadlines, and also so you're not missing out on scholarship opportunities. Oftentimes, your application has to be complete before you can start to apply for scholarships. So it's very important to keep an eye on those admissions portals just to see if everything has been received, if your application is complete, and if the admissions committee is starting to review that. Again, this is where you might also narrow down your wish list. Again, looking at cost and scholarship opportunities. We do say that, we don't want you to rule out a school because of cost, because they do have resources in many cases that can offset those costs. But if it does, the scholarship opportunities aren't as plentiful. Just be cognizant of, a college that's going to be completely out of reach financially. Those are things that will help you to narrow down your list. So these are some additional lists. I talked about, creating lists for your college visit, your wish list, your list for the application materials. But once you fully apply to all of your different universities and colleges of choice, it's really time to start to look at your scholarship applications and there's endless amounts of scholarships that students can apply for. I did include the web page here for Fisher's outside scholarship opportunities. Colleges and universities will have scholarships that are unique to their college or university, but there is a whole host of other scholarships. And we do have a lot of those scholarship opportunities listed on our website. In addition to search sites such as FastWeb or Peterson Scholarship Search. Again, these are sites that do not charge students for the search. You may run across a scholarship search site that's asking for a credit card. From our perspective, that's not necessary to have to pay for those searches. Again, with the resources of your school counseling office, and different college and university financial aid office websites will have outside scholarships that students can apply for. Within the Rochester area, there's the Rochester Area Community Foundation, which is basically a clearinghouse for scholarships for students in the area that have been set up by community members and donors. So the Rochester Area Community Foundation, or racf.org, is certainly a great resource for other outside scholarships. But making a list of all of the different scholarships that you can apply to as well is will help you stay organized from a financial standpoint. Additionally, there are financial aid forms that students will be encouraged to complete, whether or not they think they're eligible for financial aid. We often encourage families to fill out the FAFSA form. Some universities do still want families to complete the CSS profile. Fisher is not one of them, but that is something that you want to look into. Do schools require the CSS profile? And then if you're planning to attend a New York State college or university, and obviously living within New York State, you're eligible for TAP, tuition assistance program. So you'll want to complete the TAP application as well. So at the time, once you start to receive admissions decisions, you will also start to receive financial aid award packages, and you'll start to receive, really be able to compare net costs. And this is, again, part of your college spreadsheet. Oftentimes families will maintain those spreadsheets as well in terms of the net cost. So you obviously you will have the sticker price, if, as we call it, in terms of tuition, room and board, or housing and meal plan. But then what else is there that the college is offering to reduce that cost? Most colleges will have some type of scholarship or financial aid resource for students. So very infrequently is the student paying the full sticker price of the university, along with tuition, room and board. So definitely you want to compare the net cost of all the universities and colleges, not just that cost that they post on their website as being the full cost. You do want to obviously consider some things like additional costs, living expenses, books, travel expenses, and so on. And how does the university perhaps offset some of those costs? And then athletic offers. I mean, for students who are considering athletics, there will be offers. They often come in prior to the admissions offer. The coaches will often reach out to you and indicate that there will be a spot on the team once you apply and are admitted to the university. So keeping track of those on your spreadsheet as well. Once students are accepted to the universities or colleges, they'll be invited for accepted student visit opportunities. And again, this is a little bit of a deeper dive into that university, making sure that it's a place that you want to be for 4 years, honing in on the majors that they have, and comparing the different majors. If you're looking to study nursing at XYZ University, how does that nursing major compare to the nursing major at a different institution? Is it a direct admit program? What are the job placement opportunities? Do they allow for study abroad if you're interested in doing that? So really now, as a junior or a sophomore, when you're visiting, you want to make sure they have your major. Now you're going to start to compare the majors within those universities and really find out which one is going to be the best fit for you. Oftentimes, colleges will allow students to shadow a class and sit in on a class and really get that college, that immersive experience. Again, eating in the dining hall. Some colleges are still offering an overnight visit even to non-athletes, just having that full immersion experience so that you can really see if you can visualize yourself on that campus for 4 years or more, depending on your program. And then just really again, your list should become narrower and narrower as time goes on. I mean, obviously, there are institutions where maybe we're not for admission. So certainly that's going to become what's going to roll off. I know that there are universities and colleges that students will apply to the school within the university. So you might be applying to a specific school. How does that work with your major? So if you change your major, does that mean that you have to withdraw from that school and apply to another school within the university. So just getting a feel for what's it going to look like if something changes while I'm at that university or college once I'm enrolled. Um, we really recommend that once you start to receive your admissions decisions, again, can you visualize yourself attending that college and university? And those visits, those college campus visits, or even talking to a student via Zoom or over the phone, faculty members certainly will be able to set up those appointments as well to just really start to narrow down your list even more. So at the end of the, springs, I would say, well, at the end of your fall semester of your senior year into the spring semester, you may be down to maybe 2 or 3 or 4 schools. And that's where you really want to go back for a second or third visit, making sure that you're receiving or applying for all the different scholarships that you can that you're eligible for. Making sure that you're updating your application spreadsheet. Again, talking to your family or friends or current college students. We at Fisher have Fisher students going out to high schools to talk a little bit about their college experience with students at the high school over the Christmas break week or the holiday break, just to have the seniors get that firsthand experience as well. When you're looking at financial aid, I mentioned the travel expenses, activities, meal plan. There are universities that will provide the cost for their tuition as well as housing, but sometimes the meal plan is a la carte. So again, when you're looking at the big picture expenses, does that include the meal plan, or is that something extra that's going to be out of pocket? So, consider those factors as well. And then oftentimes, families will certainly, it makes sense to look at the financial aid award package and find out what is going to be offered to the student and what is the net cost for that first year. But I often say to families, think about the long-term cost. If don't hone in necessarily on that first year. There are opportunities for scholarships and other financial aid resources that are available to students in the subsequent years. Will the student be considering graduate school? Look at the big picture. What's it going to cost the student over not only the 4 years of undergraduate work, but if they are planning to go into medical school or law school or some of those post-grad school schooling programs? Are you considering experiential learning? Are you going to be studying abroad? Will you be abroad for a semester? Does the university utilize or allow the student to utilize their financial aid resources in a semester abroad? And then just think about things like being a resident assistant. So students who are an RA in the residence halls often have their housing completely paid for. So are those opportunities that you can think about in terms of offsetting costs? So I always say, look at the 4-year glimpse of the financial perspective and just look at the opportunities that could be available after that first year. Sometimes students choose to live off campus, and a housing and making your own meals will be a little bit less expensive than perhaps the meal plan at the school. So just really, those are things to be thinking about as you're narrowing down your selection and deciding on a university by May 1st, which is the universal deposit deadline. And really just enjoy the journey. We always say to students that if you could take this whole process and baby steps and really, even do a timeline for yourself, which I know the College Board also has a timeline of, what you should be doing in fall of your junior year, spring of your junior year, and so on, and managing it in small baby steps. It really can be a great process. I know families enjoy those campus visits just as much as the student. Really having those opportunities as a family to see different parts of the state, or again, if you're going out of state, just seeing different parts of the country and coupling it with maybe another sightseeing opportunity and just seeing what's in the area of that university. And really knowing that the admissions staff at colleges and universities across the country are here to support you. We do it every day. As John said, I've been with Fisher almost 20 years, and I've been able to really help students from that admissions perspective because we do it all the time. And for families who are doing it for the first time, it can be completely overwhelming and daunting, but that's what the admissions staff is available for. and really not hesitating to reach out to chat with an admissions counselor. So really, I just say enjoy the journey. It's an exciting time. Congratulations on your, graduation, your upcoming graduation, and good luck and best wishes for a successful undergraduate experience.
Libby, I can't thank you enough. That was perfect. And almost every single resource you put into your presentation are ones we refer students to all the time.
Oh,
So we're right in lockstep
that's
with the way we
wonderful.
approach this. So I really appreciate your time. I think this was really useful, and I'm looking forward to speaking with you soon.
Excellent. Thank you so much, John. Thank you for asking me to do this again. And please, I mean, even if it's a question of a student who might not be considering Fisher, I'm happy to be a resource.
We appreciate it. We'll see you
Okay.
soon.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.